Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. In this video, I'm going to react to 7 family restaurants that you only find in the States. Now, whenever we go to the States as a family, like we always would go to Red Lobster. Like, I know you guys are probably like cringing, but yeah, because it's not here in the UK, and like the value for what you get, like I think like in Red Lobster, you do like a platter where you get all kinds of stuff on it. You get like crab, prawns, salmon, all this kind of stuff. And it's like, I think it's like 15 or 20 bucks, which here it would easily be way more than that. So yeah, Red Lobster is just a favorite of ours. Like I think the first time we had it was when we went to Florida in 2003. And ever since then, whenever we go, it's like a tradition. And you know, there's definitely a lot more restaurants in the States that we just don't have over here. We are getting some of them now, like the fast food places like Popeyes. Chipotle hasn't made it. Has Chipotle made it over? Yes, we do have Chipotle, but there's only like a few locations here and there. But yeah, like, you know, based on the food videos you've seen me do, there's just so many places that I would like over here, you know, like that you guys have there. And who better than Lawrence from Lost in the Pond to kind of show us the best ones, you know, the ones that maybe he goes to quite often. I know I'm going to get super hungry watching this, but it's going to be fun anyway. Let's do it.
Hello, I'm Lawrence, and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to restaurants, specifically the kind of restaurants that might be referred to as casual or family or sit-down restaurants. Depending on how good your short-term memory is, you may recall that I did a similar video for fast food in the distant past of 4 days ago. You may also recall that 57 years ago, at the beginning of 2020, restaurants were something that most of us did. And hopefully that my talking about them will convince your stomach to be hungry.
I'm guessing that this was filmed like, you know, during the lockdowns and stuff where people couldn't really go out. It feels like that was forever ago, doesn't it, you know?
And to call in delivery and to support these and other restaurants as well as their staff during the pandemic. That said, I find myself in the awkward position of doing this video while being about as much a fan of chain restaurants as I was of chain mail circa 1998. Give me a unique independent restaurant with an owner that looks like Don Corleone any day of the week. It's just that when I first moved here, I moved to a town whose only restaurants were chains. So if you can't be asked to cook, which is every day, then those were your only options. And in general, it just makes sense for me to do this video. On the one hand, Americans will get to learn which of their sit-down restaurants are unique to the United States. And on the other hand, any British people thinking of eventually moving to America for love will get to see which restaurants they'll be forced
for love, my darling.
to dine at when a spouse's cousin they've never heard of graduates. And so this video is all about sit-down restaurant chains I never encountered until I moved to America. Now here's an Uncle Toby caveat. You might be expecting the likes of Perkins, Denny's and the Ponderosa, but
never heard of any of those apart from Denny's. Never heard of these two though.
But those 3 in particular will not be making today's list, not because I experienced them in Britain, but because I ate all 3 when I went on holiday to Florida when I was 8. I was with my parents, I didn't come on my own. And this is not a comprehensive list, let's take a look at 7 sit-down restaurants that I only encountered after moving to America, ranked from worst to best.
All right, let's go. Cracker Barrel.
Oh, Cracker Barrel. What are we going to do with you? It's not that the food is bad. I like Southern country food. You know, okay. Once I worked out that biscuit isn't the same thing as it is in Britain and that gravy here is some kind of spicy cream. No, it's not so much the food. It's that cracker...
Hold on a minute. Is your gravy not like a brown, thick, savory sauce that you pour over your turkey? Because that's what we think of when we think of gravy. Like, what is American gravy?
Cracker Barrel treats its customers like I treat my cat. And I don't mean they pet everyone. That would be bloody weird. I mean they make you work for your food by dangling toys in front of your face. You have to squeeze through the sea of merchandise just to get seated. And that's after you've already been tempted by the rocking chairs. I don't know whether to go there to eat food or to knit. Now, I do like that every table has those little games with the pegs. I think it's to distract you from the decor. But look, this is just an opinion. If you love eating southern country food and tacky wooden birds, then this is the place for you. Don't eat the birds. That was just a poorly constructed sentence.
IHOP. Been to IHOP. Like, the value, the prices in there are just incredible. Like, It's really, really cheap. You can get a lot of food for not a lot of money.
Contrary to popular belief, IHOP is not an Apple product or a song by the Seven Dwarfs. It stands for International House of Pancakes, and because of that, you'd expect that this would be the one on the list that I would have encountered in Britain. And while IHOP has gone international in the Middle East, it's yet to set foot in Britain. And this is because A, restaurants don't have feet, and B, the British only eat pancakes once a year. What? Whoa.
That is not entirely true. I used to eat pancakes like a couple of times a week, sometimes for dinner. I just had a phase where I just loved pancakes. My spread on a pancake is like marmalade. I know some of you guys are like, what the heck? What's wrong with you, Kabir? But yeah, try it. Marmalade on super thin pancakes, like almost like crepes. Mwah.
Back up there, like, what are you talking about? That's right. Sure, there'll be some British people that eat it more regularly. Uncle Toby comes to mind. But on the whole, British people reserve their pancake eating festivities for Pancake Day, otherwise known as Shrove Tuesday. And in America, they do things a little bit differently. Here, Mardi Gras is sort of a de facto pancake day, along with all of the other days of the year. And so IHOP, much like the iPod, is often full. And this is my chief complaint, actually, with all of the entries on this list. I don't like crowds. Quarantine was made for me, unlike pancakes. That was a joke about how pancakes are never made for me because I never request them. I've just never been a huge fan of pancakes. I'm not a fan cake. Can we get that in the dictionary? No? Okay.
Fan cake. Nope, never heard of this one either.
Evans. I've been there approximately 2.5 times. I once used it for just the toilet. And even though it does itself draw in the breakfast crowds, not to be confused with the Breakfast Club, I do marginally prefer it to IHOP, and that's probably because pancakes are a choice, not a threat. But this is one of those restaurants that I discovered today is mostly a Midwest or a Mid-Atlantic thing. You won't find too many Bob Evans in the mountains of Utah. But if you like your breakfasts or lunch or dinner with meat and potatoes, as chains go, you can't go wrong with a bit of Bobby E. That's my nickname for him, nobody else's. And just in case the owners of Bob Evans are
out of the restaurants that he's like recommended on this video, which ones are worth like trying out? Because I've not been to, apart from IHOP, any of the other ones mentioned. So like, you know, because I want to try like the best ones. So throw your recommendations in the comments.
Watching, send me a private message. I've developed a proposal for an upscale version. I'm calling it Robert Evans Senior.
Texas Roadhouse.
Texas Roadhouse, an establishment bearing the theme of Texas that serves steaks and not roads. And during those early months of living in the US, I continually confused Texas Roadhouse with Lone Star Steak and Saloon. And I was today years old when I discovered that the latter has since gone defunct. I don't know why I'm happy about that. Sorry to all of the staff. But it means I can now move on with my life and base all of my assumptions about Texas on just one restaurant. And it's a restaurant headquartered in Kentucky that I've only done once, in Indiana.
I'm guessing it's steaks, wings, you know, barbecue, that kind of stuff. Stuff that I love personally.
I think it was my birthday or someone's graduation. The two blur together the older you get. If it was my birthday, I had no say in this. Or it was literally the best option. But my memory of the experience is a good one. I liked the steak, I liked the wine. I think it was darkly lit, and I like that most of the time. I've since been to about 100 independent steakhouses here in the United States, and in almost every case, they've been superior. And any exceptions to that can rightly be referred to as a mistake.
Wow, so Texas Roadhouse is not that good, I'm guessing?
Sorry.
Applebees. Heard of it, never been to it. I think it's one of the more popular ones, isn't it?
Again, not to be
I'm guessing Olive Garden's going to be on this list too.
Confused with Apple. Tim Cook doesn't employ little worker bees to do the circuitry yet. Although with the last name Cook, I always imagine how hilarious it would have been if he'd have gone into the restaurant business. Imagine the marketing opportunities if he opened a restaurant called the Three Tims with Tim Curry and Tim Rice. Applebees is not that. While I used to shed about 1,200 British pounds at the Apple store, I always leave Applebees about 12 pounds heavier. But I can largely tolerate Applebees, mostly for its atmosphere. Something you should know about me is that I actually don't mind crowds too much if I'm really drunk. That's been my experience at Applebees.
That's like most British people, I think.
The volume level is as large as the portions. Although last time I was there, I had to complain to management because whoever was in charge of the music let Nickelback happen. All that aside, Applebee's is another place that's gone international in the Middle East again. I forgot to mention a moment ago.
I wonder why, like a lot of American restaurants, it seems, first go to the Middle East in terms of when they're trying to go international. I would have thought Europe would be the obvious choice because of the, you know, relatively similar, you know, cultures, shared language, stuff like that.
That surprisingly, that's also true of Texas Roadhouse. There are 3 countries in the world with United in the title. You'd think the United States and the United Arab Emirates would share with the United Kingdom. It's okay, we have plenty of good restaurants of our own. I'm just trolling.
Red Lobster.
Yes, Red Lobster. This one was
Love
always going to get lost in the pond because lobsters are found at sea. And Red Lobster's pretty good. It's not just lobster, it's seafood in general. And I'm a bit of a maverick when it comes to Red Lobster. I always go for the least obvious thing on the menu. Fish and chips, usually. And they absolutely stuff you with biscuits. Again, not digestives, but bread rolls. And when I say stuff you, I'm not being literal. The staff are pretty good about keeping their hands to themselves.
Come here, you will eat 10 biscuits.
Now, to any of my British viewers, the portions at this place are almost as big as the prices, so you won't be eating there every day, otherwise you'll die. You might go there for a special occasion, a birthday, an anniversary, but definitely not graduations. Students can't afford it. And it almost doesn't matter which state you're living in because all but about 5 boast a Red Lobster. And once again, you'll also find them overseas, in Southeast Asia, the Middle East, and not the United Kingdom.
I mean, come on. Come on over, Red Lobster. Come on over. I could be like your, I don't know, mascot. I could be like your official mascot.
A restaurant that specializes in Italian-American cuisine, the Olive Garden sometimes gets a bad reputation, and I can't remember why. To me, it's the classy one. If you close your eyes, you feel like you're in the Mediterranean, but in the Matrix with Frank Sinatra and American accents. It's nothing like the Mediterranean. But it is nice. It has a good atmosphere. Amazing breadsticks. How in 5 years have I not spoken on this channel about Olive Garden breadsticks? They are to die for. And the other food is nice too. Again, an array of seafood and pasta dishes. Now, it could be that my glowing review of the Olive Garden is heavily influenced by wine. Definitely is. But did I mention their breadsticks, which don't have any salt on them, and I'm definitely not the person to seek for dietary facts.
Oh, man,
again, Britain has no shortage of Italian-themed restaurants, but it has a nice round number of Olive Gardens. 0. To be fair, it hasn't got an international presence in general, except in the Middle East. That's it for this episode. Thank you for joining.
I wonder why the Middle East seems to be the place of choice for, or at least the first place of choice for American family chains, restaurant chains to expand to. I wonder why. Maybe the Middle East provides certain incentives. Like, I don't know, because I would definitely have thought they would come to the UK first. Or maybe it's because the Middle East is a cheaper place to start. I'm guessing because a lot of it is still like desert, it's still in development. Maybe it's cheaper to buy land and construct over there as opposed to over here, especially if you wanted to start a presence in like London or Manchester, which is probably going to be really expensive. But yeah, like it would be great if Red Lobster came over. It would be so successful. Like, you know, there's a lot of people who love seafood, and we don't really have like a designated exclusively seafood restaurant chain here in the UK. Not that I can think of off the top of my head. You know, I can't think of one. Like, and you know, a lot of people love fish and chips. So to have a place where you can get fish and chips, but like 15, 20 other, you know, seafood type dishes would be super successful. Olive Garden, I've never tried before. I want to try that too. There was a couple of other ones that were mentioned that I wanted to try. But yeah, I'm now very hungry as usual. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.